good morning, and welcome to, well, it's the Brenda Perryman show this morning, but it's Richard's show until he comes back. And I'm Brenda Perryman, and I'm so happy that you're here. Happy Monday to you. We have a lot to talk about. But first, I have a wonderful, wonderful guest. I'm so excited to welcome her here. This is Belicia Hines. Good morning.
Good morning.
She is the director of the Black Theater
Program.
program at Wayne State University.
Yes, I am. And the program is within the theater department, the theater
Right.
and dance department there.
Right. I was very familiar. Vaughn Washington,
Yes.
yes,
And a coup.
cool, yes. So I'm just so happy that you're here to keep it going, keep it moving, and all of that. But let's find out a little about you and then we want to talk about this great play that's going to be there. When do you open?
We open on Friday.
This Friday. Wow,
Yes.
this is great. I'm glad I got you. Glad I got you. Okay, Belicia. Now, where are you from originally?
I am from a small town called Elizabeth City, North Carolina.
North Carolina. I
Yes.
love the Carolinas. And did you always know you wanted to do this?
Always, ever since I was a little child, I would act out the parts on TV and everything, and I always wanted to perform. I just loved it. I performed in front of my family and asked for a little money during the times of Christmas and whatnot. So yeah, it's always in me.
Oh, they had to pay you, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, that was great, great. So then after high school, did you know you wanted to go to school for that?
Well, actually, before then, I started acting at the local university there, and just
Before you graduated from high school?
yes,
Oh, great.
I asked the theater teacher over there to be able to let me in to just assist to do anything. To stage manage, assistant stage
That's
manage, or
great.
help with anything that I could, so then I could just get the knowledge. And then before then, I got into North Carolina School of the Arts for my
Oh,
senior year, so I went away to school.
oh, good for you.
So yeah,
All right,
it's
girl.
always been my thing.
That's great. And that's what I love about what you're talking about is because we need good theater professionals here in Metro Detroit. I mean, really. And Wayne State has had some great theater through the years. And there's a little history connected with this, but we'll get into that in a minute. Now, after you went to North Carolina, didn't you go to North Carolina A&T?
Yes, I did. Yes, I attended there, North Carolina A&T State University in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Yes.
I majored in theater there. Then I went on to grad school.
And that was Missouri.
Yes, University of Missouri at Kansas City.
Okay, then I know you. I did check you out a little bit on YouTube last week, and saw some of your things. You did short films and plays.
Well, yes, I've been in, did a little bit of short films and whatnot. Right now, a lot of things that I have up there recently is a grant that I've been doing. It's called the Detroit 67 Page to Stage Grant.
Right,
That
Dominic Mariso.
Yeah, well, yeah, we're using her play,
Yes,
and then also
you're
just the
gonna.
history of the Detroit Rebellion.
It
We've
was a riot.
Yeah,
Me and Ken Coleman, we constantly go back and forth about that because I was on 12th that day and the night before. I
oh
mean, I literally was there.
wow,
Well, the man who was, I was a freshman in college, and because I had had that accident, I was a semester behind, so I was to go back that day, and the man who was to take me back lived on 12th. And the night before, I'd been on a date with my boyfriend, and we were coming home, and we always rode down 12th because it was a very colorful street. And it was like 90 degrees at night. The wind, no wind was blowing. It was just a hot, muggy night. And he said if a riot ever started, it would start here. And sure enough, that morning I called him. I said, "There's a riot on 12th," and so he came and got me, and went over there. But anyway, Detroit '67. I saw the play, and you're doing something at the museum, right?
well, yeah, we've been doing a lot of research. Basically, the grant is to we went over to Old Retford Academy
Right.
on Outer Drive, and with a group of senior high school students taught them about taught them about that event, and took them to the museums and whatnot. And now they created their own piece to reflect what went on 50 years ago, and then their perception of it, and created something, devised an original piece. So we're performing that the week after next, the 28th, over at the Wright Museum. So
Right. Well, I can say, you know, in a way, it was a riot, but it was a rebellion. A rebellion also, because the police, they had stress, they had all this stuff. The police would come down on black men, especially.
yeah, from some of a lot of the interviews that we've had from other people, it's, just rebelling against the police brutality that was going on, and rebelling against the injustices. So
Right. And well, I guess the reason why I called it a riot sometimes is because of black stores were broken into and ravaged and all of that too, unnecessarily. And people were putting Soul Brother up on the windows and
just to
all
stop.
that. Yeah, but there were black businesses that were hurt also by that, because 12th had a lot of stores, a lot of everything on it, and then at night the pimps come out, the prostitutes, just all kinds of people would come out on the street. It was just a very interesting street. If only, they could kind of relive that night. That night was just interesting. And then my brother was put in jail for a week for curfew, but they didn't let him call home,
Oh man.
and just for curfew. And the day they were sending, like some prisoners who were looting and stuff, they were sending them one place. And then my mother was sitting on the steps of the police department, and she heard someone say, "I sure am hungry." And it was my brother coming down the stairs. She beat him down the street, but happy to see him. We didn't know she had checked the morgue. She had checked everything. And nobody ever said, they never let him call.
Man.
There's a lot of things. It was a lot of things. There are a million stories to this riot, but that's wonderful that you're doing that. And so that's going to be on the 28th.
Yeah, is that a Friday? I think, yeah, if that's that
It's a Friday.
Yeah, that Friday. Yeah, so next Friday we're going to be performing there, and then we're going to do another performance over in our studio theater at Wayne State.
Yeah.
So working with kids, trying to teach them about something and using that to be able to creatively express themselves.
That is
So yeah, I'm
fabulous.
working a lot of things at the same time.
Oh, but you can do that.
Oh, yeah,
You can
yeah.
do that. So after grad school, what?
Well, I went up to in New York, the stereotypical like waitressing while auditioning thing, and then a year later, I got a job being a professor in North Carolina. So just started teaching, and then I've just been teaching ever since.
Oh, okay, okay.
Been teaching theater at a university ever since. So I think I'm 13 years.
Really?
Yes, 13 years
She
in,
looks like she's
in higher
just
ed.
in college, just in college. And so, tell me this: Did how'd you get hooked up with Wayne? How did you saw it?
Well, yeah, I applied. I looked at the announcements and I just applied, and
So, did you want to come up north, or
oh yeah, I mean I'm open to go different places, and so happened that my brother actually, he lives here as well, so that
Really?
just made that convenient because my brother's here. I have some family here, so
Oh, well, that's good.
so now when my parents come up, they're seeing both of us at the same time instead of two different places, so that really helped.
It worked out?
Yeah.
It worked out. So you came to Wayne State when?
2014 of the fall. Yes. So I'm in my third year.
Good, good, good. What shows have you done so far?
A Song for Coretta by Pearl Clegg.
She's from here.
Oh, yes.
Went to Northwestern High School.
Yeah, it's a wonderful playwright. Raisin in the Sun, Lorraine Hansberry. Yeah. And then, then I did the reading of the Detroit Projects, Dominique Morris. So we did the reading of all those three plays over at the Wright. And then I most recently in February, I did Harriet Jacobs, the adaptation of it, The Incidents of the Life of a Slave Girl. Lydia Diamond, she created a play about Harriet Jacobs, who was a slave who hid in her attic, in her in her grandmother's attic for 7 years to get away from her master. So we did that, and
Fabulous.
then now I have this show. By the way, Meet Vera Stark by Lynn Nottage.
Lynn Nottage. By the way, meet Vera Starks. What is it about?
Well, it is about black women in the 30s in Hollywood. And basically, those forgotten women, those actresses, those performers in Hollywood who had to go through times of only being able to be a maid in subservient roles. And they had to work their way up to be able to get any parts. And it's honoring those forgotten women in the industry.
Those women, are they real people or?
Well, Vera Stark represents women like Hattie McDaniel.
Okay.
Represents Teresa Harris. Lynn Nottage was inspired from the actress Teresa Harris, that she was watching a lot of old movies in the 30s, and she just saw her and and a lot of the things that she had to do, she wasn't able to like be the lead, but all the but she had so much talent,
Right.
and she wanted to do a play that honored them and to honor their lives.
That
And
is
so
wonderful.
Vera Stark represents all of these other women and what they
Ruby
had to go through.
Dandridge.
Ruby Dandridge, Freddie Washington.
Oh, Freddie Washington, Imitation of Life.
Yes.
You know, yeah. You know what's so funny is, well, it isn't funny. Ruby's daughters, of course, Vivian and Dorothy Dandridge. I got to meet Vivian and spend some time with her because her granddaughter was one of my students, and she was going to play Dorothy in The Wiz. And she said, my grandmother, you know, and Vivian Dandridge, she told me so many stories about Dorothy and about them and all of that. And then after she left here, she was visiting because they did a retrospective at this small theater on Dorothy Dandridge. And she was here to speak about her. And then she went home to Tacoma, Washington, or near Seattle, and she had a stroke.
Oh,
And she passed away. But, you know, it's funny about Dorothy Dandridge. When I was a child, I used to go to movies every week, 20 cents. My mother just sent me to movies. I love movies. Didn't you love movies?
Yes.
Yeah, I know. And I said, God, who is this? Because no woman had looked like her who was actually talking and doing something other than being a maid.
Yeah, and it was really hard back then, and even like with the movies now and then to today, we can even see some of the stereotypes that movies still like they just place us in all the time, and this gives us the avenue and the platform to be able to discuss those issues and
so
how
happy you're
powerful
doing
media
this.
affects us and
Yes, it
affects
does.
who we are and who we want to become, and we need to change that.
What other ways do you believe that media affects us as women?
Well, it affects everything that we do. It affects issues with our challenges about hair. When the only thing you see on TV is that, you know, women have to have this long, straight hair down their back and that's not our hair. That
Right.
we're never, you know,
you
celebrated
know,
with
honey.
this, you know, that it needs to be celebrated more. About complexion, many times that they only relegate to only certain complexions of females. There's nothing wrong with light skin or dark skin, but they need to have the whole array more. And many times that if you are certain complexions, that they don't want you in certain types. You don't.
In certain
you're not.
types
Yeah,
of
you're not.
roles
Yeah,
and
you're not
so
the leading
forth.
lady if you're dark skinned. Which what's the problem with that?
Then
But now it's changed with Viola Davis.
Viola
Yeah,
Davis,
yeah, that's
'cause she,
yeah.
I mean, you know, I first saw her in, what is it, Antoine Fisher story?
Oh yeah.
And she was only on screen for like 10 minutes. And I said, that's the most wonderful actress I've seen. You know, she didn't say anything. You know, acting, you don't have to say anything to be acting, as you know. But she didn't say anything, and I just thought she was marvelous. Then I saw her on Law and Order playing a corrupt cop, a school cop. And I was so happy. You know, just I enjoyed her performances
Yes.
Didn't you?
Yeah, she's a powerful actress, and really just starting that conversation and really having young girls that have the ability to see a dark skinned woman be
Yes.
able to play leading parts and to be a great
And to be
person.
romantic, a
Yes.
romantic person. That's another thing
Yeah.
that they didn't let. They wouldn't even let. Okay, you take I Spy. It was on years ago with Bill Cosby and Robert Culp. It was on in the 60s. They played spies. Robert Culp would get the girls and stuff, but of course the black man had to be, he never did. And they did that on a lot of shows that it's like the black person didn't have relationships.
Yeah, and many times back then, the women had to look like desexualized, as if the only thing
Absolutely.
we love to do is to take care of white families all the time.
And
That
praise
mammy
them
role.
and
Yeah.
praise them, and no matter how Mr. So and so. In fact, the other night I was going through the camera, I mean the television, and I see Imitation of Life, and I see Juanita Moore, Mr. So and so, Mr. So, and I saw that movie initially when I was like 9 years old, and I never could understand. Back then, I just couldn't understand. Here, these two women living in the house, and she's still calling her Miss So and So, and it just that hierarchy just always was one to bother you, but that's the way it was, unfortunately.
And this play, it starts that conversation,
Right.
and it opens the conversation because it needs to be discussed,
It
and
it does.
and we need to know our history. Lynn nodded. She loves with all of her plays. She focuses on the omission of history, that history that's conveniently taken out, and most of the time it is African American history that is
Yes.
conveniently taken out. So
Well, you're talking to someone who had to find out for herself because it wasn't taught in high school, my high school at all. It was like this is the history of the United States. It wasn't a black person involved. The only way we saw black people were we had to send money to the missions and the missionaries, and they were taking care of the babies and pagan babies, and it was just horrible, horrible. I'm so happy that you're doing this show. I think we have some pictures from Wayne from the show, and maybe you could talk a little about it once they come on screen.
Okay.
Okay, and we'll be able to see them.
okay.
But how many actresses are in it?
There are four young ladies, three African American ladies, one.
Oh, here's
Oh yes, those the three ladies. The lady in the front, she's the Vera Stark. She plays Vera Stark. Her name is Briere Tender, and also in the purple, that is Tiffany Thompson. And Tiffany is actually from here, and yeah, she's from Detroit. And then we have in the back Antonia McCain, and she plays Lottie in the back, and Tiffany, she plays. I don't know why I'm going blank all of a sudden, but
who does Tiffany play?
I just went blank. Oh, okay. Now they're doing just close-ups of each one of the
Yeah,
characters.
that's what I was sent.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, Tiffany Thompson plays Anna Marie. Yes. So all of those different ladies, they're striving to be in this movie at the in Act One, and this movie is called The Belle of New Orleans. And they would do anything to be able to be seen by this producer Slavic and the director Maximilian von Oster, and you will see at the beginning it's in the style of a screwball comedy, of what they will do to be able to get in this movie and them trying to work hard to get there. And then the second act goes into the 70s and then also to 2003, where it goes back and forth with the discussions on where is Vera Stark, and then with her being interviewed in the 70s of like her career at this point. in the 70s. So you see her from in her younger years striving to be in this big movie. And The Belle of New Orleans is like Gone with the Wind, is that
Okay,
type of
yeah,
idea of a
yeah.
movie. And then once she gets into that movie, what happens after then? Like so many women, they get into this one great movie and then all of a sudden they just go out
O-
into the abyss.
Oblivion,
Yes.
oblivion, and that happens with some people who win Academy Awards. But what do you feel about this? I tell people, I said Academy Awards are well and good, but remember those are people's opinions. They're not telling you necessarily that you're the greatest that person is the greatest person in the world.
That's right.
Don't you agree with
That
that?
I mean, yeah. I mean, because with Denzel Washington, when he received his Oscar, that wasn't the best movie that he acted in, but that's the movie that they depicted. Training Day. That's the movie that they wanted him to
Well,
receive
the
that
first
award.
one was for Glory, and when I saw Glory initially before he received the Oscar or even nominated, and the scene where he was being beaten and he's just staring at the captain or whatever, and that one teardrop from his eye, I was in the movie. I said, Oscar, but I mean, because people would say that is so, but like you said, it's not necessarily the best picture out there, and so forth, but it's people's opinion and how the marketing goes, because there's a lot of marketing that goes on about these films too,
Yes.
once people are nominated and so forth. And
It's a
I
lot of politics. So
I
many
just,
politics.
people just put that out there as being, oh, they didn't get this, so that. Okay, awards. Awards in and of itself have some corruption to it, to me. They
Yes.
do, unfortunately, because, like you say, it's not necessarily the best thing out there.
That's right.
And with Vera Stark, and these women, I'm so intrigued by this. I'm going to have to come and see it. These women who are trying their best to, are they competing for the role, or they're
They're
just trying
competing
to
for
be
different,
in?
yeah, just trying to be in the movie. There's specific roles that they want to aspire to do because all of them are different types of characters that they could be, that they could get an opportunity to be in. Anna Marie, who's played by Tiffany Thompson, she's trying to play, well, I don't want to tell too much of the
Don't tell
story,
too much, but
but
a
but
little
but
bit.
but she can't be the same character as Vera Stark because Vera Stark is auditioning for the role of Tilly, who is the maid who helps the leading character in the movie, and with Tiffany Thompson, who's playing Anna Marie, she is not. She's trying to play somebody else and trying to pretend to everybody that she's this Brazilian actress. So they don't even think she's trying to hide the fact that she is black because she could pass to be Brazilian. So she's trying to do that as well. And also with the other lady that you don't see in the image, that is Mary. I just went blank on
Don't worry
it's
about
like
that.
now
I
I'm on
don't
TV I
see.
just went
Is
blank
it?
but she plays Gloria in the play and she's hiding something. I just want to say that she's hiding a secret of who she really is. And so
Wow.
with that you see all the different ranges of what women had to go through and what black women had to go through to get into these parts and to get to be accepted.
Absolutely, absolutely. You brought up something earlier, and you brought up about what we as women see on television and some of the, well, reality television with the hair gets longer every week. I mean,
Yes.
I don't even watch it. I mean, my daughter would uh, tape the Real Housewives of Atlanta or something, and I know so many people in Atlanta. Nobody I know acts like that, but they're doing it so that they. I believe it's another piece of buffoonery in a way. The way some of them, I gotta start a fight. They gotta stay relevant, and staying relevant means fighting your sister.
and that's entertaining, and that makes money, unfortunately. And so that is what is seen more than seeing a black family on TV, and a black family loving each other. And there may be, of course, there's conflict
But
because you need that,
you
but
know what's
still.
so funny with the Cosby Show? I remember when that first came out, and there were people who actually said, "Oh no, that's not a real black family. Like all black families got to be poor. Everybody live in the ghetto."
And see, everybody needs to see
And that's
a
what,
diverse diversity of African American
right?
people. Yes, some of us are poor, some of us are
Yes,
not poor, some of us are, middle
struggling, but we
class.
making it. You
Yeah,
know that
so it's
kind
a
of thing.
variety, and that's what needs to be seen on TV, not just being one dimensional and just seeing us fighting one another.
Right, right, right. Because that's what people are used to seeing. It was interesting when I went to college. Well, you went initially to a black college. When I went, we had it was two of us black girls, and we had two white roommates who had never even seen a black person on television. As a now what they see are different things, and the roles are getting better. They're getting better, but honestly, it's just been the way I think reality television, like people say, "Oh, I love Andy Cohen." I can't stand Andy Cohen because he's the one who has these Real Housewives shows, and they have these Housewives of Potomac or something, who are supposed to be rich black women who live outside of D.C. and they fight too. It's just
Yeah, violent sells.
yeah, but I believe with plays like yours, where people can see the history,
Yeah.
see the struggle that women went through, see how they wanted to fit in.
Yeah.
That I think that's one of the operative things is fitting in to be selected.
Yeah. And when people have the opportunity to see things like that, I think things will change. But when you only have the opportunity to see the violence and to see, people against each other, then that's the only thing that you know, and that's what you know that works. But when there's a variety, then that makes a difference. So
And then it's like judge me on what I have, not who I am. Don't you think so?
yeah, that yeah, it makes a big difference. It makes a big difference. And knowing about your history and being able to see it in so many different platforms with theater, being able to talk about it and see these lives of these women and what they go through, instead of just seeing it, hearing about some news story, being able to go into the theater and understand it. And even we're gonna have talkbacks with the shows. The first weekend we're
That's
not,
good.
but the second and third weekend we will be able to have
Yeah.
talkbacks. So then we can be able to discuss it, and so then people can be able to learn more about this era or learn more about these women in that time period and those issues and the themes that are discussed. And one of the big themes is identity. Black women and identity of who am I, and that representation of self and how it's being displayed in the media. And that image that I see on TV, is that me, and who am I? And that what so many times that we're always struggling with identity, because even within Black theater, it's always this. There's a lot of the one of the main themes is struggling with identity because of the identity that's been put upon us, and of us struggling to have our own identity, and we're always fighting for that.
Right. And do you think more playwrights like Nottage and Mariso, they're coming up with great shows?
Oh yes,
Yes.
yes. Mauricio, she's actually going to have another show at the Lincoln Center this summer, and so she's still like plugging it in, really having that conversation
She's been doing
about
great.
race.
Yeah, I've had her on the show. In fact, her mother and I used to teach in the same school district.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I had her on the show, and her auntie had been on the show. Just such a great artistic family, a very
Yes.
artistic family. And do you write?
I don't consider myself that's my main thing, but I've written one woman shows, and I
About what?
um the the last one, I've been trying to write one based on my nephews and being an auntie with them and whatnot. That's a comedy, but that's not done at all yet. But the last one was about domestic violence. I interviewed a lot of different women had who've experienced domestic violence, and then I created it into a one-woman show where I play the abuser and the abused. Her as a child growing up, watching it from her mother, and being abused till until she was an adult and being abused. And so I have the male side, that point of view, and her side of what she's going through. So I've
Isn't it amazing what you could do in theater?
oh yeah.
Isn't it just amazing? So, this next season is coming up in the fall.
Yes.
What do you have planned?
Well, I plan. Well, at Wayne State, I will be directing the Colored Museum by George C.
George
Wolfe.
Wolfe.
Yeah. So that is the main thing, and then with the Freedom Players, that's our Black Theater Ensemble. We're going to be putting something together and touring it around. We haven't gotten that together
They
yet because
used to
that's
do that. I used to sometimes take off and go with them touring. This is when Vaughn was the Black theater guy, and so they take him to different schools, and so I love that. And then I did that with my students at Southfield. Just we were always getting on a bus.
oh yeah, going
yes.
other places.
Well, and two, because so many people, the access to theater isn't as good as it used to be a long time ago. They're taking arts out of the schools,
Yes.
which is a travesty.
That's always the first thing to go is the arts. And so the kids suffer because of that.
They do.
Because they don't really understand how to think outside the box and really be creative. And they don't think about creativity is in the sciences. And so
Oh,
when you're able to express it,
talk about
then you
that
can explore it in so many different ways.
All the time, the intelligentsias, they come straight from the arts. Like even counting the beats and all of this kinesiology, the movement. So much comes just from studying the arts. And then a lot of times, well, I wasn't teaching in a specifically art school, even though we had it. A lot of kids came to school just for that. That was their main reason to come to either be in the band or be in theater. That got them to school. And then they had to do the other work. But you know what I'm saying. That was one of their main impetuses.
Yeah, that's the reason why I kept on working hard in school because of theater. Because if in high school, if I didn't make certain grades, then my parents would not let me be involved over at the university doing stuff, volunteering and working over there. So I knew I had to work hard to be able to be in theater, and that was my big motivation in everything because I just loved it so much.
Absolutely. Oh, we have a call. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning, Miss Perry.
Good morning.
And good morning to your guests. Glad to see you. You know, you my new Monday lady.
Good morning.
I love what you guys are talking about, especially when it comes to the arts. And, you know, you say a lot of kids just want to come for that particular class. And you know what, Miss Perryman?
Yes.
In the arts is where we shine at because we are the arts. And to take that out of school is to literally destroy that child's ambition and that child's inspiration. Yes. And being an artist, when I used to go to different schools and talk to the children about rapping and making music and doing other things, one thing I would leave them with is that this is something you own. You don't need nobody validating you, telling you that you could be an actor. You don't need nobody validating you, telling you you could be a singer, you could be a producer. This is something that you own through and through. And when you go through these universities and these colleges and these different systems, don't look for them to validate you because they didn't put it in you. Arts is something that was born in us. That's why, like you say, with the beats, when we in the studio and we count that metronome, we counting it by beats. The only way you're going to be able to get that lyric off is through a count. They say our children can't count. You got a little 4-year-old girl who could sing. You got to know how to count to manipulate your vocals like that.
That's
I got
right.
to sing a half note. Then I got to go higher with that. That's fractions right there. But because we tell them, you know what, the arts is just art, they want you to downplay arts as arts is just drawing.
Let me tell
No,
you
the
something.
arts is the very essence of the black child's intelligence.
Let me tell you something else, 6'4". And I want to tell Miss Hines this too. There was a playwright. He won this national award. He was originally Egyptian. He was married to a black woman. She's a professor at a university, not here now, but he was from Vancouver in Canada. And he said that one thing they believe there, and I think it's believable here in a lot of places, that whoever controls the arts controls the environment. Whoever controls the arts. That's why a lot of times they fight so hard for the arts. I always wonder about that Detroit theater that's down at Orchestra Hall now. You know, the women's.
Oh, Detroit Public Theater?
Yeah, Detroit Public Theater. Like they came out of nowhere and they had funding, they had all of this. And I looked at the board, and Dominique's the only one on the board, you know, and she's not here. And I just believe so much of that. Detroit Institute of Arts, you know, and then the Wright Museum is begging, you know. It's just whoever controls the arts. And like you said, the validation, everybody needs training. I mean, not everybody, but most people need training.
Yes.
Correct? And acting seems easy. Rapping seems easy to a lot of people on the outside. But 6'4", you know that when people start rapping, I mean, it's not as easy as it seems. All of this, none of it's as easy as it seems.
No, it's not easy. And that is why those who master it are some very great readers. You know, to articulate words in that poetic form with rhythm. You know, they have always took things that we are great at and gave us something that we will struggle at. If our children were successful in the arts, they will never go to sports. Do you understand that right there?
Maybe. That might be a
If they
point
were
there.
successful in arts, then why would they have to go to sports to get millions? They will be able to make millions at young ages. At a young age, black children will be able to do things that supremacist mindset don't want them to do at a young age, let alone at a later age.
But there are people.
We have to stop thinking that our children have to be grown to be great successes. And the success is right there. There's nothing wrong with an 8-year-old being the top vocalist because that is her gift.
Right.
Then you got someone who's 8-year-old can't be a top vocalist, so they want to take that gift from that black 8-year-old and tell her, no, you try to learn math. Miss Perriman, I'm about to hang up. But
I thank you. I thank you. You made me think about something that I watched last night. Thank you, 6'4".
Okay, can I say this?
Yes.
A lot of our sisters fail as children when it comes to stuff like chemistry. Why is that? When every black woman I know is a chemist. I don't know one black woman who can't cook. And what is cooking? Nothing but measurements. Your mama is the best chemist. When you make pancakes, you got to know how much water to put in there and how much pancake mix so you don't dilute the pancake.
The good people don't even use a measuring cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah,
we
they just
are.
know it.
You got our children are natural chemists, but yet and that is an art.
Yeah.
That culinary is an art. Thanks for taking my call, Miss Perry.
Thank you so much. You know, parents need to fight for the arts in those schools.
Yes.
Now, I guarantee you, in some of the suburban schools, if they try and take some of those arts out, those parents will be up there in arms, in arms. But I was watching this Bee Gees thing last night, the special, because this is the 40th anniversary of Saturday Night Fever.
Oh,
40 years.
oh,
And they were talking about different things, but they had different singers singing some of the Bee Gees songs. And some of those singers, their voices were so tinny. I mean, this Catherine McVeigh, who won American Idol, my God, it was just hard to listen to them. And so people always say we have to go twice as harder.
yeah,
We have to do twice as hard.
yeah.
And then it's so funny when I have a friend who kind of works, well, a lot of friends. She's going to be probably teaching in the film school at USC. But she was saying that behind the scenes on a lot of these shows, these reality shows, are not black people behind the camera as far as directing it.
So it's coming from their perspective of how they see us instead of how
And
we
it's
see
an
ourselves.
insult.
Yeah,
It's an insult.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have, what's the show, Hip Hop?
Love and hip hop.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They have Love and Hip Hop. They're fighting on that too.
Yeah.
I mean, it has black people there. It's the way people want to see us.
Mm-hmm.
And so they feel they have to be, it's showing our young people something else. They have to be tough. They have to be out here. They have to show this side of the personality, which is not so.
And yeah, and they continue to do that. A lot of times, just getting jobs. Sometimes they just need us to be the one who was arrested for drugs, or those type of people in those Law and Order shows or whatnot. And so then you get confined to those negative stereotypes,
yeah.
versus other positive ones like, I want to play the lawyer instead of the one who's being convicted for a crime, or I want to play, a successful person in any other occupation, and we don't get those roles many times. But it is improving. It is improving. But then also at the same time, I just want to connect it to the play. Vera Stark connects
Right.
to these women. They were doing anything to try to be able to, you want me to be that mammy, I will do that. I will
Right.
say yes, a master, just to
Right.
do that at first. But then you see throughout the years how people get stuck into what the white supremacist, organizations or their idea of how white people see us instead of how we see ourselves. So,
And it's so funny. In the movie, there was one movie with Sidney Poitier and Tony Curtis. God, I don't know why the title escapes me, but in it they play prisoners who had escaped and all this stuff.
okay.
You know what one I'm talking? It's black and white. I forgot the title, but at the end they finally jump on a train, and Tony Curtis falls. It doesn't make it to the train, and Sidney Poitier has his hand out, trying to get him on, but instead he comes off the train too, rather than have the black man get away.
They tend to do that a lot. That the black person will do anything.
Well, what
anything
about
to
the
save.
thing when the black man was the first one to die in the movie?
Yeah.
It seemed to happen a lot.
Yes.
Didn't it?
Yes. So,
And, oh my God! And the black. I don't know. Sometimes they always made the black woman tougher than the black man too.
yeah.
That was another thing,
Yeah.
emasculating.
Yeah, and that is the stereotype of the sapphire, that we are rough and hard, and we don't need anybody, and forget black men, and forget everybody. I can do this myself, and men ain't worth anything kind of attitude, and that's not true.
No, that's not.
We need to work together and love each other, and all black women don't think like that, and when you see that on TV so many times, that black women always hating on black men, it gives a stereotype of the divisiveness within our community, and that's not true.
Right. Right.
I love black men and who they are, and I respect that, and they don't really show that like they should on TV.
Absolutely. I agree with you full heartedly. I believe the black man, I always write him to be the man. You know, I do when I write. Oh, another call. Good morning.
Yes, Miss Pearman. The movie that you're thinking of with Sidney Poitier and Tony Curtis is The Defiant One.
The defiant
Oh,
ones. Right, right. I don't know why that just escaped me. I really appreciate that. But did you notice that how Sidney Poitier? Oh, she's gone. Thank you so much. I got the smartest viewers in the world. Help me, help me, help me. But that was something with Sidney Poitier, and it's funny because in the heat of the night, I just loved his performance in that. Did you see that?
oh yes, oh yeah,
Yes. I,
Mr. Tibbs.
yeah, they call me Mr. And just the whole thing and the dynamic between he and Rod Steiger, that was just so excellent. I think I've seen that movie like 50 times. And then I did get the opportunity to spend some time with Sidney Poitier. Um, we were on a program together.
Oh wow.
He's tall. I'm tall, but he's tall. And I got a chance to introduce my mother to him. And my mother was the one who took me to see his film Blackboard Jungle, which was when I was a very little girl. So it was just like a full circle moment because he was somebody people were pretty proud of for a long time and stuff. I don't know when they get into guess who's coming to dinner and stuff. We kind of like, oh gosh, it wasn't. I don't know what it was. I was just wondering how they were gonna do that, but it showed the attitudes and they're true attitudes, you know.
Yep, when they see a black man come in into the house, that's a whole nother story.
That's why I
So
wonder about reality TV and the Kardashians, because every one of them have a black man.
yeah, I think a lot. Well, I think a lot of that is just for show because
It
it's
could be
interesting
not,
to
but I
people.
think that kind of puts our men in peril in a way. Not, I'm not saying because of black and white. It's just so many people do not believe in that. My daughter-in-law is white. My daughter-in-law is white, and they have three children who she loved these little black kids, and the kids profess as black, and that's the way they live. But I always tell my son, I said, when you all are riding as a family, just be careful because there's so much hatred out there. So Vera Stark, what's the beginning title?
By the way, meet Vera Stark.
By the way, meet Vera Stark. I love that title, and I love Lynn Nottage.
Yes,
And she's
she
great.
won a Pulitzer Prize for her play Ruined. So I mean, she's a big deal, a big
Oh
deal.
wow!
And with another play on Broadway right now, Sweat. And so I believe that's going to receive a lot of
Sweat
awards too.
would really, um, it would really go over real well here with the factories and all of that.
Oh yeah, with Sweat, yeah, that's about the factory workers in Reading, Pennsylvania, and with that theme of a mission of history of those people being forgotten and putting that into the limelight. That is what she's doing with those issues of what those factory workers have to go through. So yeah, when that is available, oh my God, I would love to be able to direct that
Oh,
show.
I know you would. I know you would. I know you would. So, by the way, Vera Stark, it opens this.
Yes, April 21st, and it closes May the 7th. Yeah, so it runs for 3 weeks. And this Friday, we're doing a red carpet night. So then it's going to be a red carpet, people taking pictures. So everyone dressing snazzy and whatnot.
Oh,
So,
that's so
so that's going to
good.
be a really fun
Now,
event.
is it at the Hillberry?
Yes, the Hillberry Theater,
Right on Cass and
Cass and Hancock.
Hancock. Right, right, right. Is the theater department still on Hancock?
Yes,
Okay.
we're right across the street in Old Main.
Right.
In Old
Oh,
Main.
you're in Old Main now.
Yeah. We have classes in Old Main, and my office is up there. So then,
Okay.
and then then people still sometimes they have class over in the Hillberry, or the designers are building sets and everything, and then it's another scene shop where they're building
Right.
sets. So
Right, right, right. This is so exciting. I have to come. So next weekend God, you're busy next week, aren't you? Wait a minute. When do you do the museum piece?
Oh, that piece is
That's the
called Our
28th.
Voice. That is, yeah, Friday the 28th. Yes, and then but
Wait a
also
minute.
we
Friday the 28th.
April the 28th. Actually, it's two things going on in the same time for me.
I'm
This show
wondering.
opens,
Yes.
and then the next week that show, and but that's just for that Friday, and then the next week is going to be at the Studio Theater at Wayne State. That's May the 3rd.
And
So
the studio theater is located.
right under the Hillberry, it's the
Right,
downstairs of the Hillberry Theater.
right, absolutely. And I am just so excited about you. I am, and about what's going on. And we have to support Black theater. We
Yes.
have to support Black theater.
Yeah, we can't expect anyone else to support if we don't support ourselves.
Absolutely not. And so let's get this straight. If people want more information, they should just look up what?
You can go on the web, theater and dance at wayne.com.
Theater and Dance at Wayne.
Yeah, theater and dance at wayne.com. You go up there, you can buy your tickets and find out more about the play and read everything, and even if you need to call the box office, but you can go online and order the tickets, and you don't even have
Right,
to speak to
right.
anybody if you don't
The
want to.
Hillberry is a nice house too.
Yes.
Yes, it's a nice theater.
And they can also, you can just email, and that's boxoffice at wayne.edu.
Right, right, right. Because I think this is exciting. These women had to endure a lot. I think about films with Mae West, and she always had a black maid, Beulah, peel me a grape, that kind of thing. But the maids kind of would talk. One thing was interesting. The maids in her movies, they kind of talked to her like, girl, yeah, well, they had that kind of relationship. It was very interesting a lot of times, the way the white woman had the relationship with her maid.
Yeah.
That might be an interesting piece to do with the maids, the way they had them play, because they had different personalities.
Oh yeah, yeah, they did. And with what I think about with Imitation of Life, the first one with Louise Beavers.
Beavers.
Beavers, she was when I was doing research on her, educated woman. And she did not grow up in the South. She was educated woman, grew up in L.A. And then she has to play this Southern maid who doesn't know anything, is not that bright, but loves her kid, and she's living in this house with this white woman. But then when you see her on the and which was groundbreaking at that time, that movie Imitation of Life.
It was.
But still, it was a demeaning role that she had to play, because this woman was smart.
Yes.
And she did not play a really smart woman. All she wanted to do was just make her, make her Miss Happy, in Imitation of Life, and take care of her daughter as well. But you don't really see her be able to be
You didn't
the woman
see
that
her
she
to
should
be anything but
Yes.
what they showed.
Yes.
No personal life, no real. She lived to serve
Yes.
others.
Yes.
Including her daughter. Wow. God, Felicia, this has been great. I am so happy that you came.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
And anytime, whatever you're doing.
Okay.
Open door policy. My shows are usually on Friday and Saturday, not Friday and Saturday. Fridays at 9 and at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And I was so happy that I could accommodate you in here before it started. So it starts the 21st.
Yes. And it's
At what time?
At 8 o'clock. And then the weekend they have a matinee at 3 o'clock. And
On what days?
The matinees are on Saturdays. For the first 2 weeks, it's all three of the weekends, it's a Saturday matinee and then a night show. The last weekend, that May the 7th, that's a matinee on that Sunday. So we do have one Sunday matinee. So 21st through the May the 7th, all through the weekend, and all through the weekend, and then starting the next week.
Where's the parking?
The parking, that's always a complicated situation, but it's parking right across the street. It's
Right.
a $5 for parking over there.
Okay,
So
that's
it's
cool.
pretty reasonable.
Okay.
And you can get something to eat across the street at the local
I
restaurant.
know,
So,
I know, I
so
know.
you can have it a whole night out.
Yes,
So,
well, you'll see me before the production is over. You
Okay.
definitely will see me. And
Thank you so
congratulations,
much.
and thank you so much. Everybody, you saw her here before she goes off somewhere. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, I'll see you Friday, everyone, and have a beautiful, beautiful day.